Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be sharing some fall dinner ideas with you guys. I am excited to share these with you because not only are they wholesome, filled with real food ingredients, they are filling and delicious, but they're also pretty easy, especially the crock pot meals. These are something that you can whip up easily and have on a weeknight, but still be very nourishing and filling and yummy. I have been a big fan of crock pot meals recently because one, I can get the cooking done earlier in the day, which I tend to be my most tired and just worn out by the end of the day, just being in my second trimester, but also we're in the middle of a move, so life is just crazy and busy and I don't always have a ton of time to cook at the end of the day. So these meals, again, especially those crock pot ones, are very simple and just favorites that we have personally just been going back to over and over. I feel like each one is also like a comfort meal, but also again, nourishing and healthy, and they're also meals that my family personally really likes. So if you guys wanna see my 3 fall dinner ideas for you guys, then let's get started. Okay, you guys, so the very first meal I'm going to make may not come as a surprise if you've been following me for a very long time. I'm gonna make chili. You guys know that I love chili because it's easy to make, it's super filling, it's very tasty, it makes great leftovers, it's full of whole food ingredients, it's just all around a win in my book. But this is a little bit, it's kind of a tweak on the typical recipe that I do. I'm also gonna make it in the crock pot to make life a little bit easier. And I'm gonna make something a little special to go along with it, which is optional, but you guys will see that later on. So the very first thing I'm actually gonna do is, it is the morning and I'm getting this started by soaking some dry beans that I'm gonna use in the chili. So I get this from Wegmans and I love it. It's their chili bean mix and it has pinto beans, dark red kidney beans, and black beans. So you obviously don't have to use dry beans. You could buy cans of each of those, but it is cheaper and it really is not that big of a deal to soak them yourself. And obviously there's no sodium added too, which if that's something that's important to you, it's another reason to use dry beans. So I'm just gonna pour these into a bowl. I use about half the bag when I make this chili. So then I'm just gonna cover it with, or cover them I should say, with, sorry guys, my camera cut me off and I didn't realize, but basically you just cover them with water. I already filled it up a couple inches over the beans, and then I sprinkled in a little bit of salt, basically just eyeballed it and kind of sprinkled some on top. And that's gonna help break down the skins of the beans. And you'll see after a little while, after a few hours, the water will start to discolor, which is a good sign to me that they're starting to soften up. I will still cook them. I cook them in my Instant Pot, which makes it super easy and very hands off. You can technically put dried beans in your Instant Pot with water, and I've done that, but I don't think they turn out as well. I think they turn out way better when you soak them first. So that's what I do. You wanna soak them for a minimum of 4 hours, but closer to 8 would be, or even 12 would be ideal. You can do it overnight if that's easier, but I'm not making chili till later in the day, so I'm just getting them going in the morning. Okay, you guys, I am back. My beans have been soaking for about 4 hours. I do like to soak them a little bit longer, but that is just all I had time for today. Sorry, if you can hear the range in the background. The fan is on because I have actually granola baking right now, so it's a little noisy. But what I'm gonna do is cook these beans so that we can start moving on the chili, get it in the crock pot, and I'll cook it on, usually I cook it on low for 4 hours if I'm making it in the afternoon. Probably only gonna have time for 3 hours today, but that's okay. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm going to drain the beans, rinse them off, put them in here, and then same thing, just fill it with water until it's covered by a couple inches, and then I'm going to cook it in my Instant Pot on high. I'm gonna do 15 minutes. so my beans are cooking and I'm gonna start getting the rest of the chili together. So to make this, it's a slight variation on the chili that I have made for years. So we've got our beans. You're gonna cook up some ground beef, an onion. This is like a small onion. I'm just gonna put the whole thing in there. I'm using 2 big cloves of garlic that I'm going to like mash up and add. And then you're gonna need diced tomatoes. This is a 28-ounce can. So I usually get like 2 of the 14-ounce cans, or obviously this works. Tomato paste, I put the whole jar in there. So that, and then typically I would add green pepper. That's always what I use in my chili, but I'm omitting the green pepper so the beans can really just shine in this chili. And then I'm actually gonna sweeten it just the littlest bit. I'm gonna use about a 1/4 cup of maple syrup. It doesn't make it a sweet chili, but it adds just this hint of sweetness that is so good. So I'm gonna cook up the beef and the onion in the skillet, and then I'm just gonna add everything to my crock pot, including the cooked beans, and then just let it simmer for the next few hours. Okay, so my chili is all together. I've got my beef, I've got my onions, I've got my garlic, diced tomatoes, tomato paste, all of my beans, and then a cup of water. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. I do add a cup of water. I feel like that is the perfect amount of liquid. Some liquid does get released when it's simmering in the crock pot as well. So I think that brings it to the perfect consistency. Okay, and then the last thing we need to do before popping this on the crock pot is add our spices. So I keep the spices very simple for this particular chili. So obviously some salt and pepper. And then I also add paprika. And I add, sorry, that was my phone. And I add chili powder. And I just add, I don't have a specific amount, but I just add a bunch of them. Okay, so my chili is almost done in the crock pot and you can totally just eat it as is. But something we tried recently, I saw someone share this online and I immediately thought I need to try that. That sounds delicious, and it was. So basically we are going to serve the chili over some cheesy grits. It is such a heavenly combo. It's seriously so good. And they're incredibly easy to make. So I got this, you buy polenta, and it is 3 cups water to 1 cup polenta, and that makes a good amount. If you want to make enough grits to have enough to pair with all of the chili, because we always have a ton that's left over, then I would definitely at least double it, but we just eat the grits for dinner and then just keep the chili as leftovers. So it's 1 cup of polenta, 3 cups water, and 1 teaspoon salt, and you cook that up. And then when it's pretty much ready and done. I'm gonna shred up a bunch of cheddar cheese to dump in. Again, I don't really measure. And then I pour in just a little bit of heavy cream just to make them extra creamy. They're so good. Okay guys, for this next dinner idea, we are going to be making a creamy butternut squash and sausage pasta. I feel like this is just the perfect comfort meal for this time of year, but it does also have a decent amount of protein in it, and it has some veg in there too. So we're also getting some health benefits. It's more of a balanced meal, which you guys know I am a huge fan of. So we're basically going to roast up some butternut squash, and while it's roasting in the oven, we're gonna get the sauce together. So we're gonna cook up sausage. I'm just gonna, I bought like regular Italian sausage from the grocery store, and I'm just gonna take it out of its casing so that I can like crumble it up so it's more kind of like ground beef, but ground sausage, obviously. We're gonna add some garlic and some spinach and just cook that down. And then to actually make it into a sauce, we're going creamy with this recipe. So a little bit of heavy cream, yum, and also a little bit of Parmesan cheese. I found this recipe online and I love it. I will link the original one down below if you guys want to follow it exactly. But basically that's all we're doing, along with boiling up some pasta, and then we'll just mix it all together at the end. Okay, you guys, are you ready for our third fall meal? It is actually the perfect chilly fall day here when I am about to cook up this dinner, and it's gonna be simmering in the crock pot all afternoon, which is just like the perfect fall cozy vibe. Plus I don't have to cook dinner later, which is really nice. So what I'm gonna be making this time is a cabbage roll soup. So if you've never had a cabbage roll, it's like ground beef and rice and like a tomato sauce all mixed together. That's like the filling, and it's rolled up in cabbage leaves and then it's baked. And for me, this is actually very nostalgic because we used to, every year around Christmas time, we used to buy cabbage rolls. It was actually this like group of nuns that made them. And I just remember growing up, we would get them every year. So it's very nostalgic for me. And I also love it because it's just like a very filling comfort meal. But again, packed with veggies, it has protein, it also has rice in there, so it really like bulks it up and it just makes it super filling. And it's easy. It's almost completely like a crock pot dump meal. All we have to do is cook up the beef, and then everything else gets just tossed into our crock pot, and then we're just gonna let it simmer all day and do the work for us. So this is actually another recipe that I found online, tried and really liked, and wanted to share with you guys. So I will link the original recipe down below, and you guys can obviously use that to follow for exact measurements. But just as a quick overview, you're obviously going to need some cabbage, you're going to need ground beef, you're gonna need diced tomatoes. I just grabbed the can from the store, and then also canned tomato sauce. And then we're going to need, for our actual like broth, I'm using broth, I'm using chicken broth. I think the recipe calls for beef broth, but this is just usually what I make. I have a whole video on how I make bone broth at home, and this is going to add just a whole nother layer of nourishment to this meal. And then rice, obviously I'm just using whatever rice, white rice I have, which is this. A little, spices. We use a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, a little bit of brown sugar actually, and then there's just some spices, rosemary, Italian seasoning, a bay leaf, and you basically, oh, and an onion too, and an onion. So I'm just going to chop up the onion and the cabbage, cook the beef, and then basically we're just gonna throw it all together in the pot, make sure it's all nice and mixed into the juices and the broth, and just let it simmer on low for 4 hours. that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have yet to subscribe, I would absolutely love for you to subscribe, join my little community here on YouTube. And as always, please comment down below. Let me know what kind of videos you guys would like to see next, because I really value that feedback, and I obviously want to make videos that you guys want to watch. But that is all I have for this one. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.